when you're looking at problem 20 here, the first thing to do again is to cancel, or I'm sorry, is to factor completely. So part of factoring is to write everything in the consistent form, which is standard form with a positive leading coefficient. So when we look at our first fraction, before we even get to factoring that, let's reorder it. And when we reorder it, let's also take out a negative because we want our positive leading coefficient. So we do have to change the sign. The 30 becomes a negative 30. The plus y becomes a minus y. And the minus y squared becomes a plus y squared. Do the same thing with the denominator. I'm going to factor out a negative. The 25 becomes a negative 25, and the negative y squared turns positive. Okay, so now everything's written in the standard form order, so now we just need to factor it. Here these two negatives cancel, so I can go ahead and do that right now. And then look to factor. So the only two terms that can have a product of y squared are y and y. Our last terms have to have a product of negative 30 and a sum of negative 1. So negative 6 and positive 5. In the denominator, it's the difference of squares. So it's going to factor into the sum and difference of the terms being squared, so plus 5 minus 5. The middle fraction, the numerator can't be factored any further. The denominator, you can remove a common factor of y, leaving a y minus 6. And in the final fraction, again, if you reverse FOIL, first term's y, the second terms have to have a product of negative 12 and a sum of negative 1. So minus 4 and plus 3 would be your terms. And then the y squared minus 9 is once again a difference of squares, so it factors into the sum and difference of the terms being squared, which is 3. So y plus 3, y minus 3. Step 1 is to factor everything completely. Step 2 is to cancel any common factors. And so now we just work through and find what gets removed. So the y minus 6's can be canceled, the y plus 5's, one of these y's with this y, the y minus 4 cannot, y plus 3 can. And so now when you look across the top, we have a factor of y, a factor of y minus 4, monomial factor written first. In the denominator, as we look through, we have a y minus 5, and we have a factor of y minus 3. So here's our simplified. All we need to do next is find any domain restrictions. So if we go back and look at all the canceled factors, we see here that y can't be a negative 5, y can't be a 0, y can't be a 6, y can't be a negative 3. So when we look at those and identify them, none of those are apparent in the simplified form, so we write them from smallest to largest number.